comes to litigating matters before our courts, because Labano Musundi never gives up, Honorable Speaker. In my time here in the Senate, I am sure I have heard his name more than once. He has brought good petitions here. And I really would wish that the House considers where Labano Musundi is coming from when it comes to this particular petition. He is simply asking that Wananchi need to be allowed to recall the president directly and the governors in the middle of their term. And Honorable Speaker, we should be asking ourselves as a House, why are Kenyans feeling that those of us who've been given responsibility to oversight the executive are failing them so much that they want to do this thing themselves? Honorable Speaker, there is actually history to Article 104, which gave the public the right to recall members of parliament in the middle of their term. Because there is a growing frustration, Honorable Speaker, with leaders in this country. You elect someone, they tell you this is what they are going to do. 2 months later, they are doing the exact opposite. And Honorable Speaker, because I've been in political party leadership, even in political party leadership, we've had very serious challenges that somebody comes and says that they support Linda Mwananchi, for instance. They go to the people as Linda Mwananchi. Immediately they are elected. And we saw it even in the beginning of this House. And I don't want to point fingers because I'll get into problems with the Speaker. Immediately we were elected. It didn't even take a month. People who were with us in our political formation of Azimio, including my good friend from Mandera, Senator Ali Roba, they ran away from us when we were going to now try and establish who is the majority and who's the minority in these houses. We saw them running away from us, Senator Khalwale. We were shocked that we had campaigned together as Azimio, we had been elected together as Azimio, and barely days, in fact it was just a few days before we elected the Speaker of this House, people have already decided to jump ship. It is a travesty because the people elected you not just because of who you are and what you promised, also the associations and the people that you worked around with, especially somebody of the stature of Raila Amolo Odinga. But what we have done, Honorable Speaker, is to essentially neuter that right of recall for members of parliament under Article 104. National Assembly, in its wisdom, following the provisions of Article 104, Sub-Article 2, to legislate how Kenyans can go about this, put together one of the pieces of legislation that was required to give effect to Article 104. But as has been explained by the committee, in the Katiba Institute case of 2017, the court found that that law on recall of members of parliament was unconstitutional. It was unconstitutional, Honorable Speaker, because it essentially made it impossible for Kenyans to exercise the right of recall. Parliament went and put as many obstacles as possible to a simple right that had been given under the Constitution to make sure that, of course, it didn't work. And it is a bit of one of the sources of the frustration of Kenyans, Honorable Speaker, because you see we are essentially being asked as Parliament and the National Assembly, to be specific, to be judges in our own matter. I don't really think that the framers of the Constitution expected Parliament to ever pass a law that is detrimental to the interests of the members of Parliament. So it was not going to be Parliament itself making it easy for Kenyans to call them, to recall them. So they went and put obstacles there. There had to be a judgment of the court. There were specific grounds. It couldn't just be that you've lost popularity and you've been recalled, and so on and so forth. And that is why that law was struck down, Honorable Speaker. But the most important thing is that we have gotten to a place where Kenyans believe that Parliament itself has failed. If you look at the report at page 1, where it summarizes the petition, the petitioner has given 2 reasons. And those 2 reasons are a pointer to the feeling amongst Kenyans and how they view the institutions of accountability and oversight, being the National Parliament, National Assembly, the Senate, and even the county assemblies. At paragraph 4b there, you will see the petitioner says the reasons he brought this particular petition is concerned that Parliament and county assemblies are often compromised by political patronage, financial inducements, or party intimidation. The petitioner submitted that this compromised oversight leaves citizens constitutionally stranded when the elected representatives fail to hold the executive accountable. The second one is that these impeachment processes that the Senator Fonandi has referred to have become political rituals rather than genuine tools for accountability. This is the petitioner telling us that they are frustrated. They are frustrated by their representatives' inability to be able to hold executive to account. Part of the original sin, Honorable Speaker, I always refer to the first parliament after the promulgation of the current constitution. In 2013, the then, I think it was President Uhuru Kenyatta, had a big majority in the National Assembly. I remember they used to call it the tyranny of numbers. What the tyranny of numbers essentially guaranteed, and because many of these members of the National Assembly were elected on the president's coalition, they misunderstood their role to be the protection of their political leader. That there was no way you could bring an impeachment motion against President Uhuru Kenyatta because those were his people. I remember a famous case, Honorable Speaker, and I'm sure you do too, when there was an attempted motion of impeachment by the then, I think it was Mithika Linturi, against CS Anne Waiguru. And something happened in Naivasha there, and that motion just died in Naivasha. It disappeared. Up to today, Honorable Linturi has never given us what really happened, the full story of what really happened, and why that impeachment motion could not even be tabled. So the frustration, Honorable Speaker, is palpable amongst the people of Kenya. I have seen calls, even in the current administration, for the impeachment of the current president. Because if you go to Article 145, which specifies the grounds on which a president can be impeached, violation of the Constitution, gross misconduct, or reason to believe that the president has committed a crime under national or international law. If you ask Kenyans, and many of them have called us on many occasions, telling us, Sifuna, honestly, this one is an impeachable offense. Do they believe that there has been some violation of the law in some of the pronouncements, in some of the actions of the current administration? Yes, they do. And I remember, even on social media, I was seeing people telling us, you guys, even if it is just trying, you Linda Mwananchi people should try and bring an impeachment motion against the president. We just don't have the numbers. It is impossible to convince the members of the National Assembly who are allied to the president, for instance, now, to support a motion of impeachment, even in the face of the most gross violation of the Constitution. Even when they agree with you that this is wrong, this is unconstitutional, or the president has violated the constitutional law, they will still not support that impeachment motion. And that is where Kenyans are frustrated. If they are saying Parliament cannot even bring that motion against the sitting president, then they should have opportunity to do it themselves.